Board meeting for Forest Lake Area Schools, Thursday, May 28th, to order. Please join us while we recite the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Member Clerk, will you please take the roll call of attendance?
Sure. Okay, Member Antonsen is here. Member Tyson? Here. Member Rebeline?
Here.
Member Corcoran? Here. Member Christensen? Here. And Member Castle?
Here.
Everybody's here.
All right, great. I would entertain a motion to approve the meeting agenda.
So moved?
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, the motion carries. That brings us to scheduled and unscheduled visitors. We have no green cards this evening. Listening session was hosted by myself and Member Christensen. Member Christensen, do you have a report on the listening session?
Sure. We had three citizens attending the listening session. We discussed about the superintendent contract, the school board vacancy seat, discussion of a local community group, and I think that covers it.
All right, thank you, Member Christensen. I have nothing to add, which will bring us to student achievement, the student report, the Forest Lake Area High School RISE program, and I believe we have Mrs. Caldwell here with us this evening.
You get me tonight only, as the students who are supposed to be here are off in softball or at the Pops concert, so it's me.
Well, welcome.
Struggle through. Well, thank you, Superintendent Massey and board members. I'm here on behalf of the RISE Club, which is Rangers Impact Student Experiences. This was a club that was started 5 years ago now through the Positive Community Norms Grant. And basically what it's about is really helping shape a culture where positive choices that students have are the norm. And so this year, the RISE theme was to lead with a purpose. And so this was a little vision board that they had put together. It was all about building connection, focusing on leadership, and feeling like they belong, and making positive choices. So we kind of thought about how do we lead with a purpose, and their purpose of leadership is really just to create positive experiences in the school through messaging, different opportunities, and encouraging students to think that they have the choice to make positive choices and that they're leaders to represent their peers and to build just a positive school culture and community. So again, they are building on connection, developing leadership, and to create belonging. And so we want to focus on what's going right in our schools and just to help them feel connected, involved, because, well, as you can see, there's a lot going on in our schools and a lot of things that kids can find a piece to be a part of and belong. So we talked about what does it mean to lead with purpose. And so the kids decided that the culture students see influences the choices that they make. So different activities that they've done throughout the year, representing from middle school to high school, their leaders wherever they go. We wanted to create positive, healthy opportunities for kids to be involved in. These are some of the pictures from our pickleball tournament, the 3rd annual pickleball tournament that they just had a couple weeks ago. Great turnout. We had 27 teams, so 54 students plus a few others that came in just to play in the evening. There was a themed outfit contest. You could dress up in a theme, so we had the Wizard and Dorothy and the Mustache Twins. So just a fun event that grandparents came and watched their kids because he wanted his grandma to play pickleball, so she came to watch him. So just some really fun stories along the way. This was our holiday hype back in December. Part of that was they had t-shirts made with a most message on the back that all of our teams are girls basketball, gymnastics, hockey, had these shirts to wear during warm-ups. And the students had a chance to sign up to go to the games. If they wore the t-shirt to the game, they got in free. And during the games, they had different activities out in the concession area. That you can kind of see the reindeer hats and things like that. So just some fun things just to build connection and bonding. And part of the positive community norms is doing our student surveys, and we had in February the positive community norms student survey taken in February. We just got the results back about 2 weeks ago, and you can kind of see I did a comparison on this slide from the 23 survey results the students did to the 26 results. And this is just one of the questions about asking their, to give their choice on do you drink in a typical, what do you drink in a typical month? And so our students, there's an increase, which is very encouraging. That means somehow the message is getting out there. They're making more positive choices. So just encouraging to see. And I think another really encouraging thing to see on this slide is the number of students taking the survey. Between the middle school and the high school, we had a really great response rate on that, which helps balance the data results out too. And just to note, the PCN grant is, we are one of 9 schools in the state of Minnesota that has this grant. And Forest Lake is doing really good. Not that you want to compare their schools, but it's just really encouraging to see that the efforts that we have been making continually in this community, I think really show by these really positive numbers. And we talk about, in this survey, the kids, we talk about perception matters. I say perception pulls the narrative. So what you perceive is kind of the story you're going to tell. And so we want to encourage students, you know, they may believe, well, everybody's doing this, they're drinking, they're vaping, and if they think that, they're probably going to use more. But when students can understand that not everybody's doing that, then they're more apt to make healthy choices, and that just makes it more visualized to them and normalized. So, and to remember, when people are saying everyone is doing it, it's really not everybody. It's probably, you know, just a handful that are doing it, but if it's the same thing you see over and over again, you kind of tend to believe it's everybody. These are some of the new posters I just got that haven't even been put up yet, but part of this is messaging, getting the word out there just to have kids see a message about, and this was the message about most Rangers would rather not drink alcohol when hanging out with friends. That's one of the questions on the survey that we score really high about. Another really fun thing that kids have had the opportunity to be a part of is through this grant is the Youth Leadership Academy. Once a year, all the schools from the 9 schools come together. The youth from those groups come together, and this year we got to go to base camp at Fort Snelling. If you've never been there, it's an amazing, amazing place. So here they had a chance to meet with, you know, there's probably about 200 students from across Minnesota, from Virginia, Evelyn, down to Jackson Central. They could just be together, rock climbing, lots of fun activities. One of the activities they did, we had John Noltner's, it's called A Piece of My Mind, and he had a question to ask the students, and they had the opportunity to choose if they wanted to be photographed and to give a little answer to the question, when were you inspired to lead? So I'm going to show you a few of our students' photos, and you can just read for yourself of what their responses were. And so I hope those, I went really quick through those, but they just are really inspirational of just saying, what does leadership mean to them? It looks like a lot of different things. And we're just always so proud of these kids just making really good choices and maybe, you know, finding a way to be able to talk to other friends about it and their peers and the community. So that's just a little update from the RISE group. But we're just thankful for your support and your leadership. And would love to answer any other questions if you have any.
Thank you for being here this evening. I'll actually kick us off, and I don't mean to put you on the spot here, so please feel free to say, I will get that information and send it to the board.
Sure.
But I see so many benefits out of this program for our students. And when you say we're one of 9 that get this grant, you know, the risk manager in me starts to think, oh no, what happens if we're not one of 9? What happens when we lose this grant? How do we continue this work? So I immediately shift gears into,
Sure.
how long is the grant still a kind of a guaranteed service for us? And when or if that wouldn't occur, what's the amount of the grant so we know where, you know, what funds we might have to free up in the general fund to continue this work?
Yeah, I'll try to answer those questions. So if I forget something, let me know.
Yeah.
So the Positive Community Norms Grant was a grant written 5 years ago. It was a 5-year grant between J.P. Jacobson and Emily Carpenter from Fairview. And we were awarded this grant for 5 years. So this is July 1. We are
Okay.
no longer part of the Positive Community Norms Grant. But part of that work that's done is helping, I think, lead and focus differently in how we message with our kids, how we talk to the kids. So hopefully there's a lot of things that are just kind of been built into the under part of just how we do things at the schools too and in the community about getting messages out. Hopefully it's already built there.
Okay.
Rewind a little bit. Last year, knowing this grant was ending, Emily Carpenter and I helped, we wrote a new grant for Communities That Care. So that has already kicked off, but I'll start into that role on July 1.
Okay.
So funding's not quite the same. PCN grant funding was very generous for all the fun things that we were able to do. So we'll just have to be creative in finding other funding opportunities and ways to support the work. But we're still going to do this, and we'll hopefully even just bring us into a different path too, or enlarge it with moving more into elementary schools, because we know the younger you can get kids to make good choices and protect those little brains, the better off they are.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you.
Does that help?
Yes, you refreshed my memory because I do recall talking about
Yeah.
this. But I just wanted to make sure that the work was going to continue, and it sounds
Yeah.
like we have a plan in place to keep this work continuing and even expanding a little bit if we're
Yeah.
going to bring the younger kids in. Like
Will
you
be
said, the
good then.
earlier we get them involved, the better. So with that, I'll open it up to the board. Member Christensen?
Yes, thank you, Mrs. Caldwell. I just had a question, and maybe you, or not even a question, but maybe you could just put an exclamation point on it, because I know that you spoke, and Mr. Caldwell, about what a big deal it is that we had more students answer the survey, but yet our numbers looked better. And I remember you guys mentioning that is a big deal, so maybe just.
Yeah, so response rate is always, you want to get at least 80% response rate, which just helps validate your data results. And so, yeah, we were able to get 80, I think we're at 81 at the high school and about 83. I'd have to look on that data, but it was over 80% for both schools, which is great. So number-wise, I think out of the 14, there's like 1,400 from the high school and about 1,100 from the middle school. So, yeah, really encouraging to know we had that. They're given the options to opt out. Parents receive the information so they can choose to opt out if they want or not. So there were under 15 opt-outs between the two buildings, so, which was encouraging.
But then with that many students replying, we still were at, whatever, 97% of the
Yeah.
students were making really good
Yeah.
and healthy choices. And some of the other schools that had less participants, their numbers were even a little bit less, so I think
Yeah,
that's.
and it's
that's-
encouraging if you look, I don't mean to take over the show, but Minnesota has really seen a really nice decline in substance use. And so I think this work has been going on for 20 years in Minnesota. So I think we kind of see that rippled across all the different communities in Minnesota. So yeah, the grant is through Metro. I mean, we're one of the largest districts with this grant, to, you know, smaller districts of, you know, 20 in a class. So yeah, it is really encouraging to see those high numbers.
Yeah, thank you.
You bet. Thanks, Jill.
Member Tyson?
Yes, well, before I forget, I want to thank you so much for writing a new grant. I knew that this cycle was ending or is over shortly, and due to your capabilities and strengths, we have a new grant in place.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Well, it's good community work. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
teamwork.
but I want to just note that, you know, over 5 years, we've seen so much growth with RISE and with the PCN and the whole program. I think, are you the second director?
Yep. Yep. I came in 3 years into the
Yeah.
grant.
And I
Yep.
know you were worked through COVID, because I attended some of those meetings, and those were kind of difficult juggling that around, but we made
Yeah.
it through, and you made it through.
I wasn't part of COVID, or during that time. That
Well,
was.
why were we doing them remote in the
It
media
was
center?
right at the beginning. Was right at the beginning
Yes,
of COVID. Yeah,
that's
but I
right.
wasn't involved.
But I mean,
in
the
it,
group
yeah.
still functioned,
Yeah,
and community members
yeah.
were actively involved and all of that. So I think that's what it takes. It takes a community to really focus on what you're doing at your high school and what your programming is, and you need that community involvement. And you've been very good at getting that. And do you think, I know one of the things that they talked about was connecting it to home. Do you think we're there, or we're halfway, or we're still
I
got
think
ways
there's
to go?
always room to go. Last night we had an event where parents were there. We had about 24 that came, and, you know, just hearing that, one of the parents just said, we just need more of these conversations, and it just was encouraging to go, okay, let's make more conversations happen. So
Yeah,
Um,
that sounded like an excellent
yeah,
event.
yeah. it
What
turned
was
out
the
really
name
well.
of the speaker?
Heather and Randy Backus are from Be Extraordinary BU. They're parents who live in Matamidi, whose son died by suicide due to cannabis-induced
Okay.
psychosis, and just share their story about education and prevention and the dangers of cannabis and THC. So, yeah, it was really well attended and good information.
And yeah, the numbers with the survey results compared to what they were 3 years back, even
Yeah,
or 4.
just keeps going up.
Just keeps
Yeah.
going up. So thank
So-
you for all the great work, and tell the students to keep it up. It's just
Yeah.
wonderful.
I will. They're great kids. Thank you so much. Sorry.
Okay, don't run away, you're not taking over, it's all good. I'm just curious, you did mention a little bit of something about perhaps even evolving this into, bringing it into the elementary level, and you said you writing that grant, I'm sorry, I can't remember the other woman's name. right now.
Communities that care.
Yeah, right. Are there other ideas you hope to bring to it? I mean, as, in addition to possibility of bringing it into elementary, I mean, do you have, said it's maybe a little bit different?
Yeah, a little, really basically building on, kind of, we've talked about bullying prevention. That all ties into just helping kids understand how you treat each other with kindness and what that means. So yeah, we're looking at ways that we can work with our elementary and maybe 4th, 5th grades to do some of those skill building opportunities. Yeah, there's a lot of possibilities. So
Yeah.
yeah, just hoping that we can kind of start even going younger, so they know what choices to make and
Right.
have healthy boundaries around them when they face hard challenges or choices that they have to come across.
All that growth.
Yeah.
That comes in
Yeah.
life. Okay, well, thank you for what you're doing.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Member Castle?
So I'm guessing that the parameters for qualifying for a program we fell out of, so then we went to another program. So what are the parameters for this, so that, what are we looking at
Sure.
for falling out or keeping on with
Yeah.
this new program?
Yeah, so the PCN grant was funded through Minnesota Department of Human Services, Behavioral Health Administration. It was just a 5-year non-renewable grant. And that's the way they did that. So it's a non-renewable grant, so we knew it'd be done after 5 years. The Communities That Care is brand new, and it's through the Minnesota Department of Health. And so it doesn't say if it's renewable or non-renewable yet. We're going to be the first cohort to go through. There's 7 other communities in Minnesota that received this grant as well. So we're still living and learning a little bit on that grant of what it entails and how it will fund. So we know we've got that until 2030. So
Wonderful.
So, and if we can renew, are the parameters such that, like, we're at 97%? Well, usually you have to be kind of in trouble to get grants. So when we bring ourselves out of such trouble, we wouldn't be able to reapply.
Well, we're spinning that, going, okay, look at all this great work we've done, and we know prevention helps so many things with academics, with so many things in our community. So we spin it, going, we've been doing really hard work since the 80s, even in Forest Lake. So this is why we keep seeing this progress, and we don't want this work to stop. And that's satisfied. I mean, we wrote in things and wrote in different concerns we have with, you know, the new laws with cannabis. Is definitely one that helped us gain another that grant. So if you hear of other grants, we're always open to hear. Yeah,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Well, thank you again. I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, community education with Director McKinnon. Welcome, Director McKinnon.
Yeah, good evening, and thank you, Board Chair Rabeline, members of the school board, and Dr. Massey. On behalf of community education, we thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight and to present and showcase our programs that showcase what the extension of the school day is, our academic system being beyond K-12 and really from birth to last years of life, and certainly tonight you're going to see that riddled throughout our presentation. I'm going to start just with a quick overview again of all the programs that we offer. We've got a plethora of programs that meet the needs of our community, and through our advisory council and through feedback from our participants and our families, we're constantly evolving to continue to meet the needs of our community in different ways that our community sees fit. Long ago, this might be new for some of you, but some of you have seen this many times over. When I first got here 10 years ago, I told my wife I got offered this job 10 years ago this week, so that's worth celebrating because it's a great place to be, and being a ranger and growing up here, I couldn't think of another place I'd want to be. Our team developed, and I developed these purpose statements of what we do, and I always put this up in front of our presentations because it's our goal that not only do you see this in the presentation, but if you were to go out in the schools and see our child care programs, or go out into our athletic fields, or walk into a classroom in the evening and see an adult painting class, you would see these purpose statements lived out. Efficiently and effectively meeting the needs of our community is how I would summarize that. Or, as you see in the tagline at the bottom, engaging people and enriching lives, making their lives better. So these are the things that when we make decisions, we focus around these 5 bullet points. I'm not going to go through and read them all, but this has guided us when we've had some easy decisions to make, some tough decisions to make, when we've had to roll back some programs, carry some programs forward to see if we're in a small little window where we can get things to bounce back. And time again, these benchmarks have served us well. So tonight we're going to present an extremely valuable service to our working community and our working families. Our child care program is one that I will put up against any other program out there, school, non-school. We've got great leadership we hear from here tonight. We've got amazing staff members, and our families who participate in our child care programs. We've just got amazing kids in our system, and there's certainly we believe that there's no better place for kids to be than in school buildings. And when child care is in need for a family, having them arrive before school, stay after school, or on non-school days, and do so in the manner at which our program is run is second to none. So with that, I'm going to turn it over here. We have Nancy Seifert, our school age care coordinator, and Sue Wadija, our school age care assistant coordinator.
Thank you. Forward is
Right side, right?
right
Yep.
side. I got it. I am picture illiterate, I'm sorry to say. I mean, even the little arrows make no sense if you put me behind a remote. Basically, I've been with the program since it started and have grown with the program, I would say. Just as our kids grow every day when they're with us. We serve kids at every elementary school, before and after school, on non-school days. It provides accessibility for our pre-kindergarten kids, because they can come before and after school on their Little Ranger stays. We're open all summer. We're gearing up for that right now. We'll talk a little bit more about what we plan for summer in the next slides. But overall, our February 1st opening for registrations each season gets to be a little tough for parents to remember sometimes. So we're still reeling this week for summer registrations and accepting some more yet today and probably a few more tomorrow. I think it's always good to look at numbers, and I just love that little girl drawing with her little friend there, teaching her friend how to write. But the numbers for the school year enrollment have remained pretty consistent over the last 4 years. Obviously, COVID did a little bit of a number on us, but we've recouped and we're back. I have no doubt that we'll stay and be back in full strength. Summer enrollment, we had a little bit of a jump in 2025. I can't explain that, but those are total registration numbers. That was a little trip to the Stacy, to the wildlife management. Sue's gonna take over from here and talk a little bit about our
So
staff.
our program is set up primarily with very dedicated and talented staff. They're the backbone of our program. The staff working with the kids is what it's all about. But overall, throughout the entire system, we've set up a staffing setup to make the most of getting resources for all of the kids at every level. One thing that we have done is we have partnered with the special ed department, and so we have 9 positions which are called combo positions, and we have employed paraprofessionals to work at SAC either before or after school, and having these highly skilled and trained people is a real benefit to give supports to kids that need those extra supports when they're with us. We are certified with the state as a child care program, and we were first certified in 2018. We continue to meet all of the standards and regulations for that. And it's been a real benefit because that allows us to provide child care to the families who need county assistance. We couldn't do that if we weren't certified. And it also is really in line with our desire to provide the highest quality child care available for the working families in Forest Lake area schools. Nancy.
And now I'm just going to highlight, why would a child want to be at SAC? Well, first off, there's friends. That's their biggest reason for wanting to be there all the time, so they can come and hang out with their friends. Our staff do a wonderful job of encouraging friendship building and so on for those that struggle with some of those things. But overall, that's where it's at, is they want to be comfortable. They want to know there are supportive staff there to help them along. And just to hang out. We also have a strong belief in physical fitness every day, whether it's gym time or outside time. For the past 3 years, some of our staff have, on our PD day, trained other staff so that we can have consistency district-wide, because we do combine down to 3 sites in the summer and on non-school days. But it really helps staff and students understand games and how to adapt games for maybe different age groups and figure that all out. This is one of the new ones. Right after our staff training, they were out there doing this little relay. It was lots of fun because we all got to play at a PD day too, so that's cool. And of course, it all of a sudden turned from a cool spring to like hot summer, but I thought I wanted to take you back to a little cooler time of outdoor play, along with some of our summer parks that we visit. We go outside every day after school. The only times we don't go out is if the school day cancels recess. When we cancel recess, we go the same guidelines as the school. We try to make our program fit in with the school day as much as possible. They like to build almost anything, and they really want their pictures taken. These kids love to have their pictures taken. Notice, look at, peace out, you know. Lincoln Logs are still a thing, even back from my day. Yeah, so Capitol blocks, you name it, the magnet tiles, any kind of blocks. School Age Care invests a lot in blocks. They use that during their choice time. We also do lots of experimenting, lots of STEM activities. These kids are building to see if they can climb or build the tallest tower. There were some kids behind there. That other bubble over there, that's made out of silly putty. I don't know if you've ever done glue and liquid starch together, but it's all sorts of fun. I know when my kids were young, we had a box in the fridge that lasted, I think, months. It didn't turn into any kind of a quote-unquote science experiment. Oh, what did I do? I clicked off. Seriously? On. Okay, there it is. Last summer, some of our field trips, I was going to talk about, we missed this one. Crafting. Oh yeah, we do all sorts of crafts too. One of our staff went home, painted rocks last summer so they could do a more involved project that took days of time drawing and so on. And these kids are just so cheesy. I love that group of older boys that so got into the rock thing. So. Staff are very creative in planning activities and get the kids involved in that too.
And of course, the highlight of our summer program is our field trips. So this summer we have a number of field trips planned. We are going to movies, going bowling. We always take the kids to see a play. We're going to the Psychic Theater this year. A couple of museum trips to the Bell Museum and Mill City Museum. Water parks are a big hit, so we go to the Anoka Water Park, Rush City Water Park. We're going to Waldocks Farm
Yep.
and the Fun Lab. And then our end of the summer celebration is a visit to Linwood Elementary, where we enjoy their extensive playground and forest. So that's a big hit. We have Scoops ice cream promote, so the kids can have a treat after they've had their picnic. We've taken part in the community education mini grants several times, and our site managers plan what they like to do at their own sites. This is highlighting what Scandia did this past year. They purchased a sewing machine and have done a bunch of different projects with the kids, sewing a bunch of different things, and they've just had a ball. So that was a great one. The summer programs participated in the Learning to Grow grant, or Garden a Box grants, sorry. They're learning to grow vegetables in their school's backyard. So Lionel Lakes Elementary and Wyoming Elementary grew little tiny raised beds and had a lot of vegetables, and then the families could take them home, and it was a lot of fun. And I did the same thing.
Thanks, great.
The drawing contest.
Yeah.
So, Forest View Elementary has taken part in the drug awareness drawing contest for the past few years and have had many winners in that contest. They're very proud of that. And then there's a Monster Madness contest that 3 of our schools participated in, and this was a nationwide contest where the managers got this information at the school, and the kids drew different pictures of monsters, and then every child's picture was published in a book. So that was really exciting. The families could purchase that book if they wanted it to have. And I can't remember, it was Forest View Elementary, I think. One of their students was the winner for that particular group, and their picture is on the cover
Yeah, that
of
picture.
the book.
One of our students, the donut monster, yeah, donut monster was Forest View.
So as we close here, as you can see, this is more than just dropping a child off, passing the time until they're picked up. Anytime I visit a site, I'm constantly wowed by the engagement of our staff, which then engages our students. And it's across sites. You could go Scandia one day and head up to Linwood another day, and you're going to see the different feel in the building, just like we do during the school day, but you will see consistency across the board, which is a highly engaged yet very safe environment. Nancy and Sue and their teams do a great job of teaching and training the expectations to our staff, going through the trainings with DHS, which is also just best practice, that it strengthens our programs, and ultimately we put on a real good product and a good service for our community. So just as we close here, just a reminder, these are the last 3 catalogs that we put out over the course of the last year. We find out that when kids are featured on the catalog, they don't want the next catalog to come out because they're the celebrity and star of the show. But really, I have to say that some acknowledgement needs to go to a person who hasn't been before the board as our marketing coordinator. We have a marketing coordinator dedicated to marketing. In fact, this presentation, I had a presentation set up, we worked on it, we built it. Alexa Nelson, who is our marketing coordinator, looked at it and she said, "Let me get my hands on your presentation," which is why this presentation looks markedly better. Kudos to her. So with that, I'll open up to any questions or comments from the board.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for coming in. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Member Castle?
So for the unfortunate incident where a family has not enrolled or anything, but they have an unforeseen need to have a child be there for a day, is there like an emergency method for that to happen, or?
We don't have families just like up and drop off, and if they were to call, we do everything we can to take students in, but we do have to go through the proper intake process to make sure that we know the child, we have all their forms on file, the allergies, any safety precautions. The other thing too is that we have to make sure that we stay within our ratios, which is 1 to 15. So we are constantly hiring to accommodate that, which is why the only time we ever have students who aren't able to, we don't even like to use the term wait list, because wait list kind of denotes, well, you got to wait for somebody to drop off, and that usually doesn't happen. It's contracts pending, which means we staff up into what we have. The moment a student goes above that threshold for the 1 to 15, we already start hiring that next one, and we'll get that next staff member on board, because we know that it serves that one child, and we'll get others to follow.
So it's possible, but it takes a little while.
Yeah, where we've met that accommodation more often than not is if it was an emergency situation, I'll apologize to anybody saying we took a child and we kept them safe, and we'll deal with whatever needs to be dealt with there. We've had situations that have occurred at a school where
Times in the past,
Yeah,
that I can
it's-
remember, it's been, principals have been involved, and we've taken a student, just given, that's some emergency situation,
Yeah.
family.
Excellent.
Common sense.
Certainly, yeah. That's not what we are overall as a program, as we explained. We are not a drop-in care program, but
Right.
because we have our guidelines to
Yeah.
follow. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Member Tyson?
Yeah, well, Corey, first of all, I want to thank you as the director, just all the integrity, intentionality, and purpose you bring to all the programs, including this fabulous one. And we have so much longevity in our staff with our SAC program that it's just a tribute to all the great work and many years of children that have passed through your hands in SAC. And
The other thing I guess I'd like to add to that, Gail, is just that we have also had students come back to work for us that we've had in SAC.
Oh,
which
my
is very
God.
exciting. Yeah, they thought enough about the program when they
Yes.
were with us as students. Actually, one of my former students from Wyoming Elementary is now a site manager, so, yeah. That's my little toot, okay. but-
we saw the
It's
students
very
up on there,
exciting.
Nancy
Very
was, oh,
exciting.
there's one of our SAC kids. That happens
Yeah,
all the
One of
time.
those other kids that were up at their presentation, so, yeah.
Well, I only hear so many good things from parents who have their children enrolled and how much they love the summer program. Oh my gosh, we have to get in that, they don't want to miss that, so, and it's a lot of planning.
It's a lot of planning. We start in January, planning for the summer, and I worry sometimes in the spring of the year, okay, but remember, we're still in the school year. You know, I have to constantly remind them. I think that teachers are the same way in that respect, that, you know, they're looking forward to summer school too, and, but yet we have to finish out the school year, and we have to keep kids engaged, and engagements means less problems with behaviors
Yeah.
and dissatisfaction with the program. They want to do what they want to do within reason. One time, one kid said to me, "I want to go to space." I said, "I'm sorry, honey, we can't do that." But
With Space Camp.
well, we could. Space camp. No, space camp. Back then, Corey, I did a space shuttle in the classroom. He was a child in a wheelchair, and we had a great.
Oh,
We made it.
Terminated
happen.
well, thanks for
Wow.
all you do
Impressive.
and all your years of dedication
Oh,
to SAC.
It's the staff that are out there, like Sue said, working with those kids.
We'll pass that along to them as
We
well.
will. Thank you.
Member
Appreciate
Corcoran.
it. Yes.
Well, Also, yes, thank you, Court, and thank you for your 10 years at Forest Lake Area Schools.
It's gone fast.
Very exciting for you to be here for that many years. No, the program has just grown over the years. My kids attended when they were young.
Okay.
They were at Forest Lake Elementary.
Oh, good.
And, yeah, Linda
Maybe new soon.
was
Linda
there.
Kelly.
Oh, Linda
Yeah,
Kelly
Linda
was
was
there,
there.
okay. Yep.
And,
She was wonderful.
She was wonderful,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
And, yeah, so I always felt safe as a parent, dropping my kids off because they look forward to going. And I always felt like it was the friendships that they, and the activities, and they did go in the summer. So, I mean, I do really value that as my kids have enjoyed that program. And I've just seen it grow and just continue to grow. And,
Thank
you know, and I'm so thankful you guys do such a great job.
Thank you as a
And you offered a pass, yeah, I did, yeah, it was many years with my 3 children. So, yeah, and I think just having that availability to all the school, I know it goes for summer, it only goes to 3. But during the school year, it's such great help for parents that have to work. And just to drop off and just know that they're safe. That is so valuable. So thank you for all your service. Really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you, everybody.
Mhm.
My kids have done plenty of SAC over the years, that I know.
I think a lot of them do.
I'm like looking at your last name now and trying to picture who your kids are.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, they loved it all the time, always doing fun things. So, thank you for all
Yeah,
that.
well, and with that, I'd like to take this moment to thank the board for your support of community ed. And Dr. Massey, thank you. I have colleagues who don't have the support from their superintendent that I do and our team does, and it's felt all the way through. And a robust community education program just means a more vibrant, strong community, school and non-school integrated, and that doesn't come without the support of a superintendent and a school board. So just want to thank you personally.
Well, thank you, Director McKinnon. I will say you do make it easy for us to support you and your programs with the success you bring and
My team
the
makes it
success
easy.
the programs bring to the community. Makes it easy to support that and continue to encourage growth in those programs. The challenge with the incredible success of the SAC program is finding the space, but we continue to prioritize
That's
that.
how it
And especially as enrollment continues to increase, it's a perfect problem to have. We love to sit down and deal with that challenge. So,
We always say
Keep it up.
flexibility is our middle name. and
Yes,
we
it
try
is.
real hard being flexible. It gets difficult sometimes for the space, but I can say it's something we can't overcome. There's always a way.
well, we appreciate that too. It's a
Thank
good
you.
partnership.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you. That's right.
All right, another tough act to follow, but we do have positive happenings. Does anybody have anything for positive happenings?
Well, I'll just say, I mean,
Yeah,
there's been a
Brandon's
lot going on.
There's a lot. There is,
So,
there is.
I'll maybe just talk about one, because I'm sure people will talk about everything here. I'll say I went to multiple things, but I'll talk about Ag Day. That was my first time going, and it was busy. There was just a ton of kids outside playing all sorts of different games they had going on, and, you know, I was amazed to see, you know, a cow and a horse and all these goats, chickens, and everybody, you know, all these students representing the animals and teaching about them, and different clubs that are going on, and so impressed to see all the girls that are in the trap shooting club. So it was just a very fun all around, and of course I was able to get some plants, and they're currently growing in the garden. And it was just a lovely, wonderful little event that they had. So I thought it was really cool, not having seen that before.
Well, thank you. Member Corcoran?
Well, yeah, same thing. I did go to the plant sale. I bought a lot of plants. That was awesome for Ag Day. Also, the staff retirement was always
amazingly well-attended and all the years of service that our staff has done. It's always it's a bittersweet day when we lose those good staff members, but we also have to, it's such great to appreciate them and to honor them for all their service. Of course, we had Steve's retirement party on Tuesday night. Was it Tuesday or was it Wednesday?
Tuesday.
Wednesday. I'm losing track of my days already, but well-attended and nice to see a lot of people from many years that have known you over the years. So that was a great event. And then also the Gail Tyson's Spotlight MSBA Director was in our MSBA book, and for her great work with the MSBA representing us. And I think that is all I've attended this week, a couple weeks.
Thank you, Member Porter. Member Christensen.
It has been a very busy last few weeks. May is always really busy at the end of April, but lots of really exciting things going on. I did attend the Indian honoring ceremony, excuse me,
You got it.
on May 13th. That was really a beautiful ceremony. They do such a good job with the blankets that they have, and it was just a really beautiful ceremony. I went to TEFLA on the 14th, and members Corcoran and Tyson were there as well. Beautiful new venue. They had it out at Rustic Roots. That was really nice. And then after that, I quickly went over to the high school for the EMS graduation ceremony. I've attended that, I think, 3 years now, and they do such a good job. It's really amazing for the students that are in the EMS program and the EMT program, and just how they spend so much time together in the class, and you can really tell that they're a family. So that's always a good group. Mental Health Day was yesterday in the elementary schools, which was exciting. The big kids, the high school kids come and visit all the elementary schools, and they sit and have lunch with the elementary kids and go out on recess with them. And the younger kids just really look up to the high school kids, and so anytime high school kids can be in the elementary schools, kids just love that. I know there's a lot of things going on individually in the elementary schools. The Scandia Carnival is tomorrow night. And our girls softball team won 5-0, so they're going to state next week. So that concludes my report.
Congratulations.
Member
Well,
Tyson.
I can continue on. Yes, Ag Day, as always, was just so fun. I did have to send a text to Mr. Caldwell about a few animals, but it was fun. It was just fun to see all the kids enjoying their day, enjoying the animals. The plants went really fast, and I want to give a shout out to Jordan Pollock, because he does an excellent job just gearing up for that big event. I went to Steve's retirement, which was bittersweet. A lot of people talking about how they'd wish you could stay. And looking at your pictures from past was kind of fun, going, wow.
Haven't changed a bit.
That's when he was my daughter's principal, and that's when so it was really fun. It was a great group of people, a lot of fun visiting, and seeing your wife, Kate. She's so cute. Also, I went to the honoring ceremony. I was very humbled to read the land acknowledgement agreement at that event. It's just so fun to see all the ages there. It's like elementary up to high school. It's fun to see that combination there for that program. I also tried to make it out, and I want to just give a shout out to Scandia, our IB school. They had their project presentation, and I wasn't able to make it that day. I had an appointment that ran late. And then after Steve's retirement party, I went over to the 7th and 8th grade orchestra event. And you know, our concerts are always packed. I had to circle the wagons to get a parking spot. So it's grandmas and grandpas, moms, dads, all the littles. And they just, it's amazing how much growth, how they sound in the fall to then how they sound in the spring at their concert. And then I watched a little bit of the boys lacrosse, just kind of from sitting in the end of the stadium, because I've never been in there for lacrosse, so that was really fun for me. And again, Julie commented on the retiree recognition that we have. So fun to hear the stories of what people are planning to do with their time after their many, many years of dedicated service to our district. So that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Tyson. I think we might have only missed one event here, at least according to my notes, and that was the Hall of Fame induction. There's so much going on, it's hard to remember
Yeah.
everything, but yeah, we had the Hall of Fame induction as well. We had a lot of great inductees this year. That's always a really fun event as well. And that concludes my report, which brings us to reports. Do we have anything for workshops and conferences? Kind of a quiet time of year for that. Don't see anything. City of Forest Lake, either Member Christensen or Member Tyson?
I do not have a report.
I don't have a report
All
this
right.
time.
No problem. We have so many of our own things going on, it's hard to get to everything. Community education, I feel like we might have just gotten a report on that, unless there's something to add. Member Corcoran and Member Christensen.
Well, I can just add briefly that the meeting was on May 4th. And every year, it's really exciting and it's so interesting. They give out, Community Ed gives out these mini grants within Community Ed. And you saw one picture that SAC out in Scandy had applied for the grant for sewing machines and that kind of thing. So we gave out a total of 11 grants for almost $5,000. So that was really, really exciting and always great to see what they're applying for and the work they're doing. So that was kind of the main thing of the meeting.
Wonderful. Thank you, Member Christensen. That will bring us to MSBA. This is kind of a dual report. We could go to Member Tyson to see if she has anything from MSBA as a whole.
Well, I just want to add quickly, I know I've talked about the Kids Rise initiative through, that they're launching through collaboration between AMSD, MSBA, a lot of people going in on that. It's, the first launch went out today, so you'll be hearing more about that. I know members have asked to find out more information, and we're very excited. It's just a whole launch to promote positive information about public schools and all the good work they're doing. So you can look for that to come to you guys.
All right, thank you, Member Tyson. And then we'll pivot to Member Corcoran.
Yeah, well, I actually reached out to Gail Gilman about our self-evaluation, and she did forward me an email with the attached, what to send to you guys to start the questionnaire. And then she said, we usually leave it open for a couple weeks, give people time to do the evaluation. And then when we get the superintendent on board, then he will also do that. And then we'll follow up with a group meeting after that, sometime this summer.
Yeah, that,
So she said whenever we're ready. I figured we'd kind of wait till maybe next week, and I can get that sent out, and we'll have a couple weeks. But I do have the information, so.
that was actually what I was just about to suggest. Do we
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
kick this off next week, and then we meet again on the 18th?
No.
When's it, what, like? what-
Well, our next board meeting is scheduled for the 18th, so that gives us a couple
I
of weeks
see.
to finalize it, like you mentioned.
Yeah, that sounds good. So,
Any question?
Point of inquiry, does that mean you will be sending it to us?
I'll send it to you whenever you guys would like me to. I mean,
Okay.
I think we should send it probably next week.
Sure.
And then I'll send it out as a group, and then we'll have a couple weeks, and then the 18th, we can kind of follow up on that, and then I guess we can move on from there. And schedule Gail to, she needs about 6 weeks or so to kind
Yeah.
of get on schedule, because she's really busy, so we need to give her time to
Perfect.
do that.
Member Tyson had said no to.
I didn't
Yeah.
want to schedule a special meeting for it,
No.
but as
Oh.
long as we
Okay.
stay on our meeting night.
Correct, this is our,
Oh.
that's our meeting
Yeah,
schedule.
I know what you were thinking too. See,
Yeah.
what?
And
Yeah.
Member Corcoran, could you
Yeah.
clarify
Yeah.
which program you're sending us?
The questionnaire,
Yeah.
it's just gonna be.
We've been talking about two different things.
Yeah, it's gonna be the full evaluation, but we're
Okay.
gonna do the questionnaire first.
Mhm.
And then when the superintendent contract is complete, then he will also do that, and then we come together, then she gets all the information together, and then we meet as a group to kind of go over the results. And then that's how we formulate our plan.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So the
Yep.
full timeline or scope of that is probably going to be concluded in the fall.
Probably late
Late
summer.
summer?
Late
Yeah.
summerish probably, because the
Okay.
first couple of months will be busy, so maybe maybe August, maybe might be a nice time
That-
frame.
That would be phenomenal.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
All right, thank you.
Perfect.
Yep.
We'll continue to leave it in your capable hands,
All
Member
right.
Corcoran.
All right.
And
Well,
thank you for
I'm
your
following up
help
with
in
her.
in getting us through this.
It'll be good for us.
It is quite the process. All right, perfect. We'll pivot now to the superintendent report. Dr. Massey.
Thank you. I have a number of things to update through my report. Member Christensen mentioned May is Mental Health Month. A lot of activities throughout our schools, and I think the most noteworthy is the work our student council kids do by
preparing lessons that they then bring to the elementary schools, really focusing on mental health as a whole, and trying to break down the stigma of asking for help and receiving help when kids are struggling. And as Member Christensen mentioned, when our seniors are delivering that message, when students are delivering that message, there's a different level of student engagement. And they're there for the day. They interact with kids throughout the day, lunchroom, playground, and it's just a neat connection that our kids form. You don't need me to indicate that we are now entering the final week of the school year. It's extremely fun and busy week. The week actually culminates a whole series of events that consume the spring, and many of those were mentioned here tonight by board members. On Monday, June 1st, will be the academic award ceremony at 7 o'clock. All board members are definitely welcome and encouraged to attend. Chair Rabeline and Mr. Caldwell and myself will congratulate the kids as they walk across the stage, and you will be amazed at what kids are doing and where they're going and the money they're getting to do that. All generously contributed by colleges, institutions, and our communities. I believe, I should have checked this, but I believe Wednesday is senior picnic and also cap and gown handout day.
Cap and gowns will be handed out throughout the week.
Okay.
We'll have rehearsal on Wednesday with the senior.
There we go. And that will culminate with our seniors kind of gathering by elementary schools and then touring, parading really through our elementary schools in their caps and gowns. Just a powerful symbol of just the culmination of public education and the years that kids spend in school. And those elementary kids really admire and look up to our seniors. So it's a very powerful event. The last day of school, of course, is June 4th, graduation night, 7 o'clock. We've ordered a beautiful sunny evening, so I'm sure that will be served up for us. We'll keep our fingers crossed. So yeah, just an exciting, super exciting week with graduation. Lastly, right after that, we'll be into summer school mode. Actually, Principal Kelly Lafine has been prepping for summer school, taking enrollment, hiring teachers. Summer school will begin on June 15th, and with taking the week of July 4th off, they will extend through Friday, July 4th, and those are offered kindergarten all the way through 12th grade with credit recovery for kids who need to make up courses that they need to just simply finish. The K-4 program will be at Forest View, and grades 5 through 12 will be at the community school. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Massey. I have one thing to add to that report, just for the board's information here this evening, since Dr. Massey did mention graduation. We passed a policy last year that stated that former board members could attend graduation if they had a family member that they could present a diploma to. So I'm happy to inform the board and the public overall, and the board did receive an email on this earlier this evening, that former member Kate Luthner put in the request to deliver her diploma, or deliver diploma to her child, and that is at the prerogative of the board chair. I did grant that request, so former member Luthner will be joining us at graduation to be the first individual to partake in that policy, and I'm very excited about that. That was a policy I was very passionate about, and I was happy to see that we got it passed, and now I'm happy to see it being enacted. I've asked her to work with Principal Caldwell to figure out the logistics of that evening, but that will be an exciting time for her and her family and for the district as a new policy moving forward. And that's all I have to add on that. Which will bring us to unfinished business, 7.1 vacant school board seat consideration. I do want to set this up because this is kind of a unique situation for us to be in. We don't typically end up with unfinished business. So there's a couple of different parameters that we need to follow. Member Christensen corrected me in the listening session earlier. I kept referring to this as a special order of business, and that may not have been correct. It was more of a conditional order of business. We as a board, had defined parameters around this order of business and how it should have proceeded last week. The primary piece of the parameter was that we were going to conduct a discussion and debate on the applicants and on the process for approximately 1 hour. Member Christensen, I don't believe a conditional order of business is part of the rules. I'm trying to encapsulate it in a word that's comprehensible here. But anyway, we have ended debate on this. There is a motion on the table concerning this. Yes, Member Tyson?
Since you were talking about special order of business, I just want to clarify that you need a 2/3 vote to be a special order of business.
Correct, and we had
Correct, and we
had a
didn't-
unanimous vote on setting the conditions.
But we didn't
for-
have a vote on it being called a special order of business.
Which is why I'm agreeing with Member Christensen that we
Okay.
may not have met the technical definition of a special order of business. So I'm
I just-
basically just stating that we had conditions around
Right.
that.
So I'm only bringing that up so
order.
that next time if you use that wordage, it should be on the agenda, and then we do need to have a 2/3 vote.
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
that's fine. I'm just trying to
Because
find a way.
that's in Robert's rules.
Correct, I'm just trying to find a way to
12th
conceptualize
edition.
this so
Okay.
we understand. There were conditions around that order of business is basically the point that I was trying to make. And the conditions were that we were going to end debate after that hour. So it didn't draw out for an 8-hour marathon, which has unfortunately occurred in the past. At this point, that business is carried over from last week into this week because we hit that time limit. So this week, we begin with a motion on the table. Once the motion on the table is settled, this order of business will be settled and we will move on. And I know that can cause some concern because the motion on the table is to appoint Mr. Sean Thomas via a resolution. So if there are other applicants that we want to consider, that is fine. We just need to do it through an amendment process to the main motion. And then the amendment could alter the main motion, and then there will be a vote on the main motion, which right now is to appoint Mr. Sean Thomas to, via resolution. Does that make sense? Please ask questions. I want to make sure this is very clear.
Just point of order.
Yes, Member Tyson.
I'm curious. I just want to make a motion that we hold an election. I think we owe all these candidates that, to have an election.
So what I'm
Member
hearing you
Corcoran.
say, do we have to amend the 60-minute rule? Is that what you're saying? We should change?
No, that is
Okay, that's a
elapsed.
done thing.
Yep, that is
Okay.
already elapsed.
Okay. So
I made a motion to have an election.
is that something we can do?
I
don't know.
The motion
I-
fails due to lack of a second, but
Oh.
it would also fail due to the fact that there is a motion on the
But we have to
table.
finish that
There's-
first.
Yeah, he's just trying to convolute everything,
Okay, so we just need to finish the motion and then we can,
And then this order of
Make an
business,
amendment.
once this motion is settled, we would then move on to the consent agenda. That will settle this business.
okay.
So if we want to make amendments, we can make amendments, that's fine. And Member Tyson, I'm interested in your concept here of what do you mean by hold an election?
The concept that's in Robert's rules.
Can you help me understand
Yep,
the
and this
the
is
intent here?
how MSBA fills all their board vacancies at the leadership conference. I believe you were there.
Okay.
You just make a motion to hold an election, and no one needs a second. They say their nominee, and then the election closes, and before it does, we ask if there are any further nominations 3 times, then you go around and vote. We have plenty of deliberations on all of the candidates. We shouldn't be really talking about them at the board table in a public meeting.
Which
So
we
it's the
can't
best way
anymore.
to do that.
Yeah, that part has closed. That was the condition, was that we're done with discussion, we're just moving to motions now.
But we owe all the other candidates an election. We're obligated to do that for our community members that have come forward and applied.
So are you making it a motion to amend the main motion to appoint Mr. Thomas? That's the part I'm having trouble
We're
understanding.
not appointing Member Thomas. We haven't voted on him.
Correct, that is the motion that is currently on
So,
the table.
yeah, amend it so that we can have an election and vote properly as set in Robert's rules. I can find it for you. And have nominations and then vote.
Okay, so your proposal is that I just want to make sure I'm understanding this, that we instead move to an election process where one of us would say, I nominate, I nominate Bob. So we had no applicant named
Right.
Bob.
And you don't
So I
need
would
a
say,
second.
I nominate Bob, we don't need a second for Bob. And then Member Corcoran, for example, could say, I nominate Sue. And then we could close nominations, just like we do when we elect the officers here. And then we would each go around and we would say, I want, or Member Castle could say, I'm going to go with Sue. And I could say, I'm going to go with Bob. And we just
And then you
add it
just
up at
read
the
the
end.
list, yep.
And whoever has.
And who has the prevailing highest number of votes gets fills the vacancy.
I do believe you need a majority of the board
And you need a
for
majority.
an appointment.
Yes.
Correct.
So if the
Correct.
vote lands three,
You need a
well,
majority.
if there are three candidates that get nominated, and you end up with only 3 votes on one of the 3 candidates, that would not represent a majority.
Correct, the plurality
Correct.
could not
Yeah.
appoint, and I think to be
It's all
safe,
explained in there.
I think to be safe, we would want to follow up with a resolution to appoint that individual as well, just to make sure that all of our Ts are crossed and Is are
The
dotted.
board vacancy would require a resolution
Correct.
of
After we
appointment.
decide, yeah.
Yes.
Because I just want to continue, this is the last thing, that I feel that there was an unfair advantage to you, Member Chair, having the microphone for the last 10 minutes of the meeting. We didn't get to vote, or I nominated Tracy Templeton, but nobody seconded it. We were rushing because the clock was running out. So I think we need to back up and do this properly as said in Robert's rules.
I agree. I second that.
Okay, I don't have any problem with that, so I would offer Member Christensen.
I hear what Member Tyson is saying and Member Corcoran, and I agree with that, but I am concerned that we've already, and I'm concerned because I don't want this to come back around, which has happened sometimes with different procedural maneuvers, things kind of come around. So I'm fine with that, but we did not do that for the other groups.
We did not.
And so my question is, if we do that now, which I support, that's fine. We should have probably started that from the beginning, but I'm just saying, if we try to change the process now, is somehow this gonna come back later and, somebody uses something to change the outcome or something? I'm just concerned that do we have to, and it's just a question, do we have to use the same procedure that we've used for 2 other rounds of interviews? And maybe we don't, I'm just asking.
I would offer that in the previous rounds, there were proper motions on candidates and roll call votes on those candidates. So I don't know that the process was improper, different, yes, but not improper.
Oh, excuse me, I'm not saying the process was improper, I'm not saying that. I'm saying if we change the process now for sort of round 3 of the candidates, is somehow, somewhere, it's gonna come back that we didn't use the same process or something. That's my question, because a lot of times, that's my question.
I guess what I would offer is, sure, somebody could make an argument that the process tonight was more fair versus the process used previously, but I don't think there was anything in the previous process that would nullify the motions in the action taken by the board.
Member Tyson.
And I just want to add one point quickly to that our process hasn't been very good. I mean, we can't sit here in a public meeting and discuss people like we've been doing. That borderlines on an ethic issue, and there's standards involved with that. So now we're improving our process, and we're not going to allow for that. And I think that just keeps us enforcing the rules that we need to have at our public board meeting. And I don't want to sit here and be complicit in comments that are made that our opinions or our statements, I think we've deliberated enough. We did it in the past, and I think moving forward, we need to follow Robert's rules and do it the correct way.
So I would offer, or I do have a question for you, Member Tyson. I don't disagree with this process at all. I think it's a good idea. We would carry out one election cycle, and if we find a resolution, obviously, we have an answer, and the matter is closed. But if we have appointments and we do not reach a majority consensus, the order of business is then closed and we move on to consent agenda. Is that what I'm understanding? All right, is there any additional discussion here? I'm happy to offer an amendment to the motion on the table.
What I'm hearing, let me just put this out there.
Yeah,
What I'm
please.
hearing is if there's not a majority consensus of the board through this process, that would dispose of this agenda item, and no one is elected to fill the vacancy, and the meeting would proceed. That's what I'm hearing.
Correct. And if there is a majority consensus, we would then propose a resolution to the board that would hopefully prevail as well, and then we would move on to the consent agenda.
And what would the resolution entail specifically?
The resolution would be to appoint whichever member, whichever individual was selected through the election process. It would just finalize it and meet the legal requirement, because the legal requirement states that the appointment must occur by a resolution. So it would literally be just dotting the i's and crossing the t and meeting the legal requirement.
Okay, because if I heard you right, did you say the resolution before this conversation would be to appoint Sean Thomas?
Correct, yes. The motion that is on the table right now is to appoint Mr. Sean Thomas via board resolution to fill the board vacancy.
So in the rush of the last 10 minutes when you had the microphone, I nominated Tracy Templeton.
You made a nomination for Tracy Templeton after the time had expired. It did not receive a second, and it was out of order because another motion was still on the table.
Yes, and in Robert's rules, when you make a nomination, you don't need a second.
And that we were not going through a nomination process at that point.
Okay.
But that is the differentiator there, yes. Member Christensen.
I'm confused, not confused, I'm concerned that we are unnecessarily convoluting what we need to do here, and so that people are, it's tricky and people aren't, you know, it's unnecessarily convoluting the thing. Can we just amend the motion to say that we are just going to
Have an election.
do away with the resolution on the table to appoint Sean Thomas, and can we just revert back to just calling a name and making a roll call? Because I'm just concerned that the amendment on the table is, you know.
That is my suggestion here, Member
And I think it
Christensen,
would
yes.
require a withdrawal of the motion by the person who offered the motion.
Yep, so the
Which
motion.
I cannot do. The board has the motion. Once it's seconded, it becomes the board's property. So I can't withdraw it with a second on the table. What I can offer is a motion to amend the motion to appoint Mr. Sean Thomas via resolution, and instead hold an election process as outlined in Robert's rules to make a recommendation for a resolution for the appointment. Does that cover me?
It would, then you'd have to go back to the main motion. and
Correct.
Act on the main motion.
Okay, so can I get a second for that motion?
Second.
Okay, so now we're voting on the amendment to my main motion, which would then enact Member Tyson's idea instead. Do we have any discussion on that?
Joy, would you be able to read that back, please?
I was gonna listen to it.
Or parts of it, or someone just restate. I just want it to be crystal
I've got
clear
a
what.
motion to amend to appoint Sean Thomas via resolution and instead hold an election. That's kind of where I lost it.
Yeah.
Yeah, an election consistent with,
Yes, gonna do it.
as defined in Robert's
What you should have
rules.
done from the beginning. Yes.
And we have a second there.
Yeah, Mark
Okay,
seconded.
any more discussion on that?
A vote in the affirmative would be to hold an election.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
Well, yeah.
Yes.
Then we get to do it again. Okay, so all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, the amendment passes. So now the main motion is to hold an election as recommended by Member Tyson, as outlined in Robert's rules, which is consistent to how we elect board officers. And then if a majority candidate comes out of that election, we will then move to a resolution. If not, we will move to the consent agenda. Is that clear?
Yes.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, so now we are going to carry out an election. So I will start in the exact same manner. Do we have any nominations?
I nominate Wendy Schroeder
Okay,
for
Wendy
the
Schroeder.
open vacant seat.
Okay,
I nominate Tracy Templeton for the vacancy in their board.
I nominate Mr. Sean Thomas.
okay. Sean Thomas.
I nominate Sean Thomas.
We already have a nomination for
Oh.
Mr. Thomas.
All right.
I nominate Susan Young.
Susan Young. Okay, do we have any other nominations? Do we have any other nominations? Do we have any other nominations?
Point of inquiry.
Yes.
We go around here and there's no majority. There is still a candidate left.
Yes.
Is it possible to come back around?
No, but we can nominate the final candidate
Okay.
now if you would like to. That is still open. Actually, let me go to my notes here.
I'm sorry, I missed your question, Member Antonsen. What was?
I was asking, there's still one candidate here who hasn't had a nomination yet.
And you're referring to who?
Dr. Sabord.
Savard, correct?
I will nominate Dr. Sabord. Which maxes out our nominations, but per the rule, I will ask 3 times if there are any more nominations. Are there any more nominations? Are there any more nominations? Are there any more nominations? All right. Nominations are closed. So our options are Mrs. Schroeder, Mrs. Templeton, Mr. Thomas, Mrs. Young, and Dr. Sabor. And Member Tyson, since this was your idea, how would you like to go, just in the order that?
Yeah, and just to clarify, everyone has one vote for one person.
Correct.
Correct.
And unless we reach a threshold of 4, nobody advances, and we then move on to the consent agenda. Yes, Member Christensen?
And how are we doing a roll call, or how are we voting?
I will ask the clerk to go on the roll call at the random order that has been specified.
So we're gonna go with Member Corcoran's nomination for,
Nope, what we're going to do is you're going to read off the individual's name. So you would read out like Member Castle.
Okay.
And Member Castle will state which candidate he prefers.
I'm writing this down, okay.
And, well, not Member Castle, you'll go in the order
Okay.
on the sheet.
Just write which one he prefers.
And each
Okay.
individual will note who they prefer. And if we reach 4 votes for one
vote for
individual.
one person. One vote for one person.
Correct.
So when our name is called, we have one vote, we say one name.
You say one name, and that is your vote for the, for filling the position. And we need an individual to reach 4 in order for us to move to a resolution.
We ready?
Yes, I guess.
I think so. Well, if-
I just think like normally when you vote, you might say one person, you might have 4 people voting. But if you only, you know, that's,
One
but that's different.
modification we could make, now we didn't do this in the
Otherwise, we're
motion,
not gonna
but
get anybody getting-
I could offer a motion to say we're going to
Everybody. So
amend the
then we don't.
process, that saying that if any candidate has a plurality of votes, and like the high vote getter, as long as there aren't 2 that are tied, If one vote getter stands alone, we can move to a resolution for that individual.
It has
But
to
that
have
would
4
still
votes.
require 4 votes,
It's
correct?
the prevailing highest voter.
But if
And they
there
would
is a
need 4
tie-
votes.
If there's a tie for the highest vote getter, we would instead move on.
Instead, move on to what?
Consent
Rest of the
agenda.
Consent agenda.
But if there is one individual on the list who has, say, 2 votes and everybody else gets 1 vote, I don't know if that's mathematically possible, I didn't do the math here. Well, actually, I think it is. We would then present the individual who would receive 2 votes for a resolution.
No,
No?
you have to have 4 votes for majority.
We have to have a 4 votes for the
That
resolution.
means 4 votes.
Correct, what I'm saying is we have to have 4 votes for the resolution. That is non-debatable. We cannot do that. But what we can do is we could alter it to say that if say all 5 people get 1 vote, and one of these individuals gets 2 votes, say candidate C gets 2 votes, we could then propose to the board a resolution to appoint that person. That resolution would require 4.
I think we just go with, if someone gets 4, the majority. We don't need to, again,
That's what we've
convolute the
got in place
process.
right now.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's just do, Julie, we're gonna do what we're doing.
Okay, let's do what we're
Okay.
doing.
The Robert's Rule process.
Okay.
Okay, I wanted to propose the option to the board. Does everybody understand exactly how this will play out? Okay, and does everybody understand what is expected of them when the clerk calls out your name?
You say you're one person.
You say your one name. Okay, in that case, I will ask the clerk to please take the vote.
Okay. All right, here we go. Member Corcoran,
Going first. I vote for Wendy Schroeder.
Member Rebeline,
Mr. Sean Thomas.
Member Castle,
Mr. Sean Thomas.
Member Christensen,
Mrs. Templeton.
Member Tyson,
Tracy Templeton.
and Member Antonsen votes for Sean Thomas. So we have 3 for Sean Thomas, 1 for Wendy Schroeder, and 2 for Tracy Templeton.
Okay, seeing no individual receiving a majority of votes, that will close this process, and we will move to the consent agenda. Does any individual have any items, 8.1 through 8.4, that they would like removed from the consent agenda? All right, if not, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So
So,
moved.
second?
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, the motion carries. Is the board interested in taking a short recess prior to moving to action items?
I'm fine.
I'm good.
Okay, we will proceed then. We'll move to action item 9.1, the superintendent contract approval. I am very excited to bring this to the board. We've had much discussion, much back and forth on this, and much legal review over the last several weeks. Many hours went into this. Our wonderful Director of Communications, Mrs. Reddy, prepared this for us. I'm just going to give a very brief key highlights for the new superintendent contract, both for the board and for the community. Overall, the new contract represents a salary and benefits package that is appropriate for a superintendent. The superintendent serves as our chief executive officer of the school district and is responsible for overseeing the operations of a large organization with many permanent employees. The contract represents a competitive salary and benefits package that is slightly higher than some of our comparable districts and significantly lower than some of our other comparable districts. This contract provides a salary, benefits, and conditions of employment that are similar to previous superintendent contracts with a few key differences. The proposed contract, and this is still a proposal for the board, the proposed contract period is for 2 years. The previous superintendent contract was for 3 years. The salary amount in the proposed contract is toward the midpoint of the posted salary range of $190,000 to $230,000 per year. The salary amount in the proposed contract is higher than previous contracts. A number of factors make up this increase. One, a 3% salary increase, which is comparable to the year-over-year increase of other employee groups in the school district for 2026 and 2027. An additional increase in salary is offset by a reduction in post-employment benefits included in the contract. The values of these benefits would more than exceed the value of the salary increase. I'm gonna add a little color to this. Some examples of this include things like mileage reimbursement. A lot of superintendent contracts include things like cell phone reimbursement or vehicle use reimbursement. We did not include this in the contract. We felt it was more transparent, especially to the community, to understand the specifics of what the superintendent compensation looks like at the end of the year. This contract reflects that a little bit more clearly. It's not as if things are buried in contract language for a reason, but this is just it clearly delineates the expected salary. I thought I had another point on that. Member Corcoran, do we have something else on that, or am I imagining that?
I think those were the main, the
Yeah,
mileage and the cell phone, and, yeah, I think that was
Okay.
some of the
Yeah.
things that were kind of,
And then some post-employment. I
Well,
kind of covered that about reduction in post-employment benefits.
Yes.
Things like that include like ongoing medical care,
Healthcare.
things that the superintendent has earned over the course of employment, but could have the potential to put the district in a cash flow, a concerning cash flow position in the future.
well, because it's the unknown of how much that's worth.
Precisely.
So we moved
Yeah.
some of the post-employment up to current. I
Correct.
think it was just a better.
And then we
made more
incentivized
sense. Yeah.
retirement in just a little bit different ways. So what I'm trying to state is, yes, there was a shift in the number, but the shift in the number, there were offsets built into that that are fair to both the superintendent and fair to the community and the district overall. And then the last piece that Renee put in here is there's a daily rate of, the daily rate of pay was lowered and will now be calculated based on a higher number of days per year. This rate is used to calculate the payout of unused vacation days, severance, and other miscellaneous pay. And I'll add a little color to that too. And in every contract that, especially in education, you see a calculation, especially for post-employment, that is based on a daily rate of pay. In the private sector, you typically see it break down into hours, because what they do is they'll take your annual rate of pay and they'll divide it by 40 hours a week divided by 52 weeks of school, or 52 weeks a year. In schools, it's not as clear, because you have teachers that work, their normal work schedule is throughout the school year. You have other staff, such as the superintendent, whose normal work schedule is year-round. So instead, what you do is you define in the contract how your rate of pay is calculated. And the biggest piece of that is based on the days of service, I think is the best way to summarize that. And for the superintendent, we adjusted it, since it is a 12-month position, to be 260 days versus 223 days. And then that affects other mathematical equations that determine severance and vacation payouts and sick time calculations post-contract. And that is what's getting at in that specific clause. So with that, the contract is shared on the agenda. It is the same contract that Member Corcoran and I shared with board members as we were working on this with Director Jacobson. And it is there presented for approval, and I would happily entertain a motion to approve as presented.
Move to approve.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Member Tyson.
I just have a couple of quick questions. Could you clarify why the change was made from 3 years to 2 years?
I can speak to that briefly, yes. So as indicated in previous meetings, myself and Member Corcoran worked with Director Jacobson to negotiate the contract. In order to avoid a serial meeting, Member Corcoran worked with Member Christensen and Member Tyson, and I worked with Member Atkinson and Member Castle. And then I also had the privilege of working with Pemberton Law to review that. Through a number of discussions, there was a lot of discussion around the appropriate length of the contract for a new superintendent. And
It's only been 3 years.
it's typically 3 years because the statutory maximum is 3 years.
And
But,
almost all of them in the state are, I believe.
Most of them are 3 years. When I had a discussion with Pemberton Law, they actually recommended 1 year. And the recommendation for 1 year.
I did not hear that.
Yeah, so the recommendation for 1 year from Pemberton Law came from she said it was kind of a blanket recommendation that she made to all school districts because school districts typically go with 3 years. And when you engage a law firm and they're looking at a contract, they're looking at the risk for the district. Of course, they're helping us negotiate that. So what she said is that was a protection in place to make sure that you had the right superintendent. And I went on with that discussion with her, and I said I had major concerns about 1 year, primarily because if we offered a 1 year contract, there are two problems with that. The way I see it is, first, it puts Director Jacobson in an impossible position where he's leaving a very stable role for a 1 year risk with a renewal requirement that would come up in only a couple of months. He would only be a few months in role, so he would have very limited opportunity to prove his worth. And I recognized that, and I was concerned with that. I was also concerned with the fact that we would be deciding on a subsequent contract in what would essentially be kind of a lame duck situation for the board, especially now. I anticipated that we would be that we will likely be a 6-member board at that point, and I didn't feel that was really a strong benefit for the district overall. I felt a little bit more stability was in order, and these were concerns that I shared with the attorney that I was working with at Pemberton. And she said when you take in the full context, that she felt a 2 year contract was more appropriate.
So that was a long answer, thank you for that, but just to clarify, so you're saying Pemberton recommended a 1 year?
Correct.
And then with your conversation, then they decided on recommending a 2 year?
Correct.
So that
And
came from Pemberton?
that came from Pemberton,
I've
and
never heard of a 1 year contract for a superintendent of a public school. What was her name at Pemberton? Or you
Pemberton.
could send it to me, I'd like to follow up on that.
Sure.
Okay, well, thank you for that.
I believe you have that information. I did share who I was engaged with at Pemberton with the board as I worked through that process, but I can send it to you again if you can't find it. I'm happy to.
And then my last question goes with duty day and year. It's under vacation, which is section 2, I believe. So I read these every time for 17 years now, and I'm just
Sure.
wondering, it seemed like a word was added.
What page are you on?
School board president instead of just the school board.
Correct.
Du-
What?
Yeah, under duty year and leaves, section 2, it's the very last sentence.
Yes.
Consecutive days of vacation may be taken during consecutively scheduled school days during the regular academic school year without prior written approval from the school board. But president was added on here.
Yeah. Actually, that
Did you add that, or was you
No.
recommended to add that?
Actually, that entire sentence was added. I can't remember the exact language that's in our current superintendent contract, but the intent there was just to make sure that the board was informed if there was going to be an extended vacation taken during the school year. And if you go through the entire contract, you'll notice that when notification of the board is required or when prior approval such as this is required, it typically goes through the school board president. That was something that we did discuss at length during the negotiation period. And the thought process there was to simplify things for the superintendent. If working through the school board president, especially in a board where you don't always have unanimous agreement on things, it gave a specific individual answer the way that was required for the superintendent to carry out with his plans. So that was the intent behind that. Member Corcoran, is there anything you want to add from that discussion? It was pretty,
No, I think we did talk through that, and I thought
Yeah.
that was just to connect with one person over a whole board. I think that was the discussion, and I think JP felt that was okay.
and there was discussion about
Yeah.
what does it mean if you need to get approval from the board? Does that mean if I have a vacation pop up in mid-July and it's, an unplanned, that I have to pull a special meeting together? And so, yeah, there were a lot of nuance with that, but that was the intent of some of that language. And that's just one example of a couple of different spots that's in the contract. Member Castle.
I would assume that with the school, the other school board policies, is that if the president was not available for whatever period of time, that the vice president would handle that.
Yes,
I
yep,
think so.
absolutely, and that is defined in policy.
Yes.
I can't remember the specific policy, but where it outlines the duties, maybe it's 1202, it states that the vice president handles all president duties in the president's absence. So yes, yep, that would be applicable. Member Corcoran.
I was just gonna say, I thought the process was really well, and working with JP really, and with all this, the ESST and some of the new nuances with all the medical, and then there was just a lot to learn, and having a law firm really look at it was really helpful, because we were starting on a bad path at the beginning, and then we realized, no, we need to really have that nailed down. So I think we worked back and forth. I think it was a fair, compromising contract. I think we went back and forth for quite a while on a few things, but I think it's a fair contract, and I think it's well done.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thanks for your work.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I thought it was good.
Do we have any other discussion on the contract? All right, I'd just like to say a few words. I mean, this, Member Corcoran kind of alluded to it with ESST and a couple of the other time off provisions. This was more of a challenge than we expected, but it was a really good process. It was a very collaborative process. I enjoyed working through this with Director Jacobson and with Member Corcoran. A lot of good ideas came to the table. Some of them are reflected in the contract. Some of them got jettisoned pretty quick, and others we had a lot of good conversation around. I feel that this is a really good contract, and it serves as an excellent template to keep moving forward. And even Director Jacobson had some ideas about things that could be amended in the next contract, and that's exciting. I think it's good. I would encourage the board to support this. Any other discussion on the contract? All right, seeing none, Member Clerk, please take the roll call.
All right, voting to approve superintendent contract. Member Rebeline.
Aye.
Member Tyson.
Aye.
Member Castle.
Aye.
Member Corcoran.
Aye.
Member Antonsen. Aye, excuse me. And Member Christensen.
Aye.
And the ayes have it.
All right, excellent. Director Jacobson, I'd like to welcome you to say a few words.
Well, had I known I was speaking tonight, I would probably have prepared a few thoughts, but I will repeat things that I've said time and time again to others who have congratulated me in hallways or out in the community. It's an honor to have been selected by this board. You know me well, and you still chose me, so I appreciate that a great deal. It's also a little daunting to walk in the shadow of the person I'm following. But I've looked at him as a mentor for the last 11 years, 5 just down the hallway, and learned a great deal. So looking forward to that next chapter in our working relationship together and where we can take our board and our district going forward. It's an honor that I got all of your votes a month ago and all of your votes again tonight. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
May our light shine and the shadow dissipate.
Okay. That's good.
I'd just like to add, Director Jacobson, I have the utmost confidence that you will succeed in this role. And I look forward, it'll be bittersweet come July. I look forward to you being seated next to me, and it'll be an honor to work with you.
Yeah, likewise.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, that will bring us to donations. Member Castle?
Okay, it's a relatively short list this time. There's $1,000 from the Forest Lake VFW Post 4210 for the Ranger Space Camp. $200 from the Hugo American Legion Post 620 for the FFA Chapter Student Organization account. There is a disc golf, I'm assuming this is a book, from the MVP Disc Sports LLC for the Community Education Disc Golf Classroom Edition 25-pack, valued at $150. And there is a boulder from Dressel Trucking, donated to the Community Education Disc Golf Course, valued at $100. I am interested in seeing such boulder for a total of $1,200 plus goods, total donations. And I move to approve this resolution.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, motion carries, which brings us to Forest Lake Area School staff retirements. Member Castle?
There is one submitted retirement. Cheryl Nelson, the Health Support Office at Forest View Elementary School, effective 6/4/2026, following 15 years of service. Administration recommends the approval of the staff retirements.
Move to approve 9-3.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Oh, I was just
Member
going to
Porter.
wish Cheryl
Yes.
a wonderful retirement. 15 years at Forest View, that's quite an accomplishment, but wish her well and have a great retirement ahead of her.
And she'll be able to participate in next year's retirement ceremony. Is that correct?
Correct.
Oh,
Yes.
that's right, she missed that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got her this year.
Oh, did we?
We got her this
Great.
year.
Oh, we did get
Oh,
this.
good.
Okay, wonderful.
There's many names, so I
There
didn't
was.
remember all
Yep.
of them. but-
All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries as well, which brings us to the Forest Lake Area Schools Language Access Plan. Director Jacobson, welcome back.
Oh, thank you for having me again. This is a board policy that we have been tracking for a number of years. I think we've been talking about this, discussing around the board table each of the last 2 years with the discussion on our achievement and integration plan. This is in response to Minnesota statute that came out of the 2023 legislative session requiring school districts to put in place a plan for how we were going to provide translation services to families. Starting this year, school boards need to adopt a plan. I am happy and proud to say that there is really nothing new in our plan that we haven't been doing for years, because it's the right thing to do with helping families gain access to our school district and to partner with families in any way we can. School districts and students benefit when families understand our systems and can get involved. So the language access plan that was presented to the school board on May 7th is up for an action item tonight, and the district administration would recommend approval of that language access plan.
All right, thank you, Director Jacobson. Are there any questions before we move to a motion? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Director Jacobson. That will bring us to the student attendance policy, number 519. Dr. Massey?
Very good. This policy is coming back to you tonight for approval with a few modifications to the policy. In essence, we're updating our practice with respect to, largely through this policy, serving kids who are absent and allowing processes for kids to make up work, how we track absences. I think it is moving the policy in a more contemporary time where the reflection is on student learning, not punishment for being absent, even if it's unexcused. So really focusing kids on their learning. If they're absent, giving kids time to make that up. You'll see that in language added on page 3. And again on page 4 with respect to missed work and how that will be handled. Also removing language of grade reductions for kids who miss school for one reason or another. We don't think learning that's already attained by a student should be punished if a kid is absent, even if it's unexcused. Learning is learning. If you gain learning, then you should get credit for that, and that should be reflected in your grade. There's also updates on page 7, trying to be more clear about student sports and activity participation if students are absent, unexcused, or medically or otherwise during a given day. And you'll see that language again on page 7. And then just some simple language around parent requirements for reporting absences. With those changes to the policy, administration would recommend your approval.
All right, thank you, Dr. Massey. I'd entertain a motion to approve.
Move to approve 9.5.
Second.
All right, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Bringing us to the fund balance policy 1714. Director Amber-Guide.
Thank you, Bruce, for having me tonight, Board. The fund balance policy was brought back to the Finance Committee at the last meeting. And so in front of you is the result of some of the committee's work. So continuing, we go on to page 2 after the definitions. Again, that's 6 to 10% annual fund balance. We did include from the original committee the language if the unassigned fund balance is projected to fall below 6% or rise above 10%, the superintendent will develop a recommendation to the school board as part of the annual audit review on what to do about that. So conversation around that was, again, we know about the low fund balance and the need to have the reserves on hand for cash flow and other reasons, unexpected legislative changes, things like that. The above is also about making sure that the students that generate the dollars get the dollars that they generate, and we're able to have a full program for all of our students. So again, both ends of that spectrum being covered in that statement. Again, nothing changed in the assigning of the fund balancing. Again, superintendent or director of business services can do that. It's reported as part of the annual audit, which is standard. And then the review continued to be the annual review, and then there was a section added on the first review on remediation, and so in that area was the majority of the conversation that happened at the Finance Committee. So I attempted some language, and hopefully it got to the point of some of that, and I'm assuming there'll be some additional conversation from the board tonight on that. But the language simply states that for all quarters that the district is projected to be in violation of the fund balance policy, that the compensation of board members would be reduced for $1 per month of each month of those quarters. And then when it rose above that, then they would be reinstated. So conversation around that was really focused on just the flow and the projection versus actually knowing what the fund balance will be and how that goes. Again, the annual audit, when taxes only come in twice a year, state aids only come in twice a year, legislative changes are enacted mid-year, things like that. It does get hard to have those numbers that happen at the end of the audit. So that is just some of the conversation that happened, and also desire by some board members to have that remediation area. So again, that is the board's decision on what the fund balance policy would be, and conversation tonight for that. I would like to just state that the importance of a fund balance policy, we have been lacking that. Most districts in the state have it, and back in even 2011 when it first came out. And so I would encourage the board to have the conversation and see if we can find a place where we can agree to have a policy that gets those targets out there.
This policy was set on the table at a previous meeting. This would be the first board conversation on this policy. I don't think it would be inappropriate to take action on this tonight. Or you could defer to discussion and move it to mid-June for action. But we would need action by the end of June.
That was actually my question. I think you encapsulated the changes or the discussion that we had at the Finance Committee beautifully. That was very well done. Very impressed to see this final version. As Dr. Massey mentioned, I think we want to at least get to an approval process sometime before July. I would ask, is there really procedurally, is there a difference between if we approve this on the 18th or the 25th or this evening, or are we?
No, the
Are we in
18th, it isn't, the board meeting still happens in June if we adopt it on the 25th. The 18th is the cleanest way to do it.
Okay.
Because the 25th is the July meeting in June.
It's the 27th.
Right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's kind of just in words. So the actual
Okay.
date is within this fiscal year, so it would still apply. But again, we like things just clean.
Well,
So-
that was the clarity I was seeking, and really, so that there's no procedural difference for you whether we do it this evening or we do it on the 18th, as long as we address it at some point there. Okay, so being that this is a new policy, this is before us this evening for additional discussion. We can bring it up for amendments. If there's a strong feeling of the board that we just move to approval tonight, we can absolutely do that as well. So with that, I'd open it for discussions for Director Enberg-Eide, or questions for Director Enberg-Eide, or discussion amongst the board. Member Tyson.
So I have a question, Director Eide. So in this remediation part, and I'm just reiterating what I said before, that I think it's punitive and it's kind of silly and a little irrelevant, because if you get to that point, it's, the pay that we receive is a drop in the bucket. It's not going to make any difference. And, not that I want it, but I feel like it's a little disrespectful. But anyway, so to make those adjustments, that's got to be through payroll, right?
Correct.
So you've got to monitor that and monitor our pay and what goes out, take it down to the dollar amount. and
It would be
then-
additional staff time. Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
In terms of, like, this might be a hard question, but how many hours, how many people? Just depends on how many times, I'm sure, but.
Yeah, it would be hard to say. It is additional, it is additional staff time. So it's loaded into payroll as part of a process. So once it's loaded, we would have to go in and make the manual change each month and confirm that it was done.
Okay.
So on a monthly basis, so.
And
but-
then I have talked with colleagues, because of course this is a topic that all districts are addressing. Do you know of any other fund balance policies of our neighboring districts that have this remediation language?
Right. Yeah, so as part of planning for this, MASBO has a spreadsheet that I shared with the Finance Committee of all the policies
Okay.
that were collected through their member board.
Okay.
And so I did take the time to look, and they do not have remediation in the ones that were presented. Now, that's not all of them in the state by any means, as I said,
Right.
only around 20. But I did not see remediation in any of those areas.
Okay, thank you for that.
Yep.
Any other questions?
I have
Member
a
Corcoran?
couple. Yeah, I spoke up pretty directly at the Finance Committee about this. Yeah, and now you have, I guess, I don't remember it being projected to be in violation. So how
Yeah.
how does
The
that
reason-
pan into the annual
I'm-
audit? That's also kind
So,
of tricky. and
being
how
in
do you-
finance, we believe in pennies.
Right.
Even though we're not having pennies
I'm
anymore,
like-
we balance things to the penny.
Wow.
And so I also don't want to say that I'm going to have a punishment or have a change in salary based on something that isn't known. So the annual audit is when we tie everything out, and money does get moved at the end of the year between different accounts, just tying out our long-term facility maintenance, making sure we have all the dollars correct in the levy, other areas. So some of those things are just not known throughout the year. They're projected. And businesses deal with the same thing, but again, the annual audit and the annualness of school budgets is a real thing. And so I just did not feel comfortable saying that each month or each quarter that it's under, that it's that. I wanted to say projected because that's what it is. It's not reality until we have the final audit that's approved by the school board. And so that was the struggle, and so it's just, as a person, as somebody who needs to
I thought it was tied after the annual audit.
It is. I mean, the fund balance policy is, again,
Tied to
yes,
that.
that's
Okay.
the number that you're going to be put against. But then if it is quarterly, which was what, was the recommendation, then I added the word projected, as I said, my prerogative. But again, just of our positions, we need to be as accurate as
So I
possible.
think I was asking for almost like a cash flow, like where will we be every
Right.
quarter? It's
Well,
just
and we
just
talked
to-
about, cash
looking at
flow
it.
doesn't always equal fund,
Right.
like what we're doing,
Right.
investments and all of that.
So
So
liability
again, there's
management.
restricted funds, and again, we're talking about unassigned for the fund balance, but
Right.
yes.
Right. But we also talked about we're policymakers. We do set policy. We're not in the day-to-day operations of when money comes in, it comes from the state, property tax, I mean, it's in flux, right? So at times it might dip, but it's gonna, maybe 2 days later, it'll come back. I mean, we have no way of controlling that money. We can control our budget, which I know we do a really good job of, as we set a budget, but we can't control the monies coming in.
No.
So we did talk about responsibility. We are policymakers only. We're not running the day-to-day, going to the bank and checking what our, that is not our role. But penalizing us as a governing body treats us like we're almost criminal in a way. And I don't like to be treated that way, that we're doing something wrong if we go below 6%. Like we're purposely trying to get the district in trouble. And that's what this policy means to me. It makes me very angry and upset that we'd be penalized due to that. If something I can't control, that's not fair as our governing board. It just doesn't seem fair to us. So we did speak about that. I mean, we're a collaborate. We collaborate with the superintendent and you, and we can only do so much. So I really am upset about this being added in there. I don't disagree with the rest of it. I think 6 to 10 was great. But that verbiage is really offensive to me and makes me very angry. So
And if I can add,
that's my opinion.
I think accountability in the policy is a really good thing.
I do too.
When you set a limit of 6%, a ceiling of 10%, there should be some teeth to that.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think the board's job, maybe to your point, Member Corcoran, is to set the governance policy around what the board expects, minimum of 6%. The policy has language directing the business director and the superintendent to monitor that, to manage that. Your accountability is with the superintendent. I don't mean to throw the new superintendent under the bus or put undue burden on him, but it would be me if I were still here. It would be my job or the new superintendent's job to make sure we adhere to that. And your leverage is with the superintendent through governance policy. And the corrective measures are with the administration to correct the fund balance if we dip below 6%. And through your evaluation of the superintendent, that's where you also provide that leverage. I offer that as perspective. Obviously, this will be your call on that, but I would offer that governance policy, the governance model would suggest that you set the policy, you hold the superintendent to that as the one person you supervise in the district.
I would also state that in the committee, we did talk about the fact that there are times strategically as a district that you make decisions to go below a fund balance or to spend down when we didn't have a fund balance policy to spend down things like COVID. Forest Lake, when you think about the metro area, was open, one of the most access to school for students during COVID. There were districts that were fully shut down, very close to us for months longer than we were. And so doing that, though, does cost money and does cost to do that. And so strategic decisions were made to say, we're going to dip into that fund balance and we're going to do that. And then we need to build it back up, when we're back in session. There's also legislative changes that come through. So we're seeing, through Minnesota Paid Family Leave and our ESST and others, where we're seeing substitute costs increase and other things that are beyond our factor. We can't control the legislation and what they're allowing for leaves for employees or other things. And so as we see those substitute costs go up, there might be a need to say, well, next year we're going to have to put a little bit more aside or dip into the fund balance to cover some of those. Those things are, again, things that we didn't make choices on. And so, monitoring the fund balance and doing that is really important in making those decisions. But sometimes we do make strategic decisions that we then come back and correct, which is what we're in the process of doing now. So just the note of that.
Member Castle?
So should such strategic decisions be made, we can also make a motion to suspend that clause for a period of time so that strategic things can happen without that apparent negative effect on the board. But I would consider that it should be part of that consideration for such things that are happening. But we can make a motion to suspend that.
Well, to me, if we can suspend it, why do we even have it in there? I mean, it's kind of like, why bother even having it in there?
Because it's full disclosure to the public, so that when we make it that decision to suspend it, then they are aware of it.
So the public is demanding this to be in our policy? I mean, it's like ludicrous to me. Like, no other district has it. It's just really, like she said, punitive to us. I mean, we work really hard at what we do to set good policy and good ways to monitor and be good shepherds of this money, and I feel like it's just such a negative thing. So
We shouldn't be afraid of it then.
I'm not afraid of it, but I also realize that we do a lot of things that we're not in control of everything every day. We can only do what we can do. We set the budget.
Yes,
That's what we do.
And again, we can suspend this if we so see that to be the case.
Well, I'm not gonna say anything more, because I will not support it the way it is. I'd like to make an amendment to take it out. So I'd like to.
Second that.
Yeah, I'd like to take it out of there.
I don't know that you have a motion on the table.
Well, we sort of have a motion and a second on the table. Can you clarify the motion, please?
Well, I'd like to clarify that I take out the policy, what is it? Fund balance policy 9.6. I would like to monitor or to amend, taking out the remediation part
So
that's
you-
added in red under section 10.
So you want to strike
I
all
would
of
like to
section 10?
strike that, yes.
Okay.
I would.
Member Tyson, I'm going to ask, do you still second that now that
I
it's been
do
clarified?
second that, because I think it takes staff time. It ebbs and flows with payments. I just think it's punitive. I still second that.
Okay. In that case, we have an official motion and a second on the table, which will open it up for discussion on the amendment. Does anybody want to comment on the amendment?
Well, okay, I would like to say something,
Member
ask a
Atkinson.
question. My thought about this is that it is to provide for board member accountability. I understand, though, what Member Corcoran is saying, and I think what I heard you say earlier is that the fund balance isn't always like this until you take a big chunk out. It does this all the time. So it may dip below that, but and then the work that comes into chasing it the whole time, so I do understand that conundrum about having it this way. And that's all I wanted to say, because I don't know, I think maybe there needs to be a little more discussion, because I don't feel like it's punitive to me. I feel like, well, okay, well, that makes it even more so. Let's make sure we're paying attention to finances. And I'm not saying Director Renberg-Eide and her team aren't doing it, but for me to like, look and see how, are there any ideas what we can do to, improve? And how can I help make that happen? But I don't see it as punitive, but I also think we need to, if we're gonna take that out, then where is the accountability for school board in this?
It's in another section about, where is it? If it's, where is it? Oh, to the superintendent and
Yes.
director of business services. I mean, they're gonna be looking at it, and they will be advising us, and we'll work with them on that. That's their role. That's their role in the district.
I'd like to kind of add my 2 cents to that and kind of address some of these points is, when you go above and you look in the policy where it says the superintendent and the director of business services will do these things, that shows that they're tracking the projected fund balance anyway. So that work is being done on a continuous basis. In fact, I know a lot of the discussions I've had with Director Remberg-Eide, she probably knows the number every day, but they're tracking it that close. And as member, I think it was Member Castle that mentioned the word accountability, and that's what really drives home to me. It's an accountability, and it's being transparent with the public about what's going on. As much as we defer things to the superintendent and the director of business services, it's the board's prerogative to direct them to do the work. And whether they agree with the directive that we give them, it's our prerogative if we tell the superintendent and by extension the director of business services to exhaust the entire fund on buying pizzas for the elementary schools tomorrow. We can do that. Would it be irresponsible? Absolutely. But that's where the accountability piece comes in, as it drives the accountability back to the board of being very conscious about these decisions. And I'm not implying that we haven't been conscious and intentional about the decisions that we've made in the past. But as Member Castle alluded to, there's a second lever that needs to be pulled. If you're going to exhaust the fund balance for some reason, Director Remberg-Eide mentioned, when we experienced COVID, we made a conscious decision to spend down the balance. Well, then that comes with the acceptance that that's going to affect our compensation as well as a board, and we're going to share in some of that pain. And it actually immediately brings to mind a book that Dr. Massey has on his shelf in his office. It says, "Leaders Eat Last." And I believe in that premise of everybody in the school district. It is our purview to protect their compensation, to protect their positions, to protect the ability for students to come to school. And if we don't do that to an adequate measure, the consequences could be catastrophic. We could go into statutory operating debt. We could completely exhaust funds, and how do we hold school tomorrow? I mean, there's lots of major questions, and we're empowered to make incredible decisions that affect thousands of students every single day. And this just shows that we understand that massive responsibility, and we are accountable for it, even if it's not, we don't make a fortune here. We absolutely don't.
Peanuts.
If we look at it on an hourly basis, we'd be lucky to break $1 an hour. But it shows that we understand the incredible responsibility that we have, and we at least have some skin in the game. And like Member Castle mentioned, if we make a conscious decision to spend that down, we can also make that conscious decision to state, but we're going to suspend this clause in the policy, and we're going to continue to get paid because, and then it's transparent with the public. That's my thought on it. Member Christensen.
Yeah, I just have a question for Director Remberg-Eide. Well, first of all, I just want to remind us all that, as we've discussed, the board is meant to set the direction of the district, not to manage its day-to-day work. And so let's just kind of play out the scenario. So we go under 6%. What does that look like? So then is Director Remberg-Eide letting the superintendent know that we're under, and then we're putting the superintendent in an awkward position to be able to say, board, you know, we're freezing the stipend. I mean, it just seems, I'm just trying to think how that process works out and what that looks like. And I'm wondering then, you know, Director Remberg-Eide, do you have 6 of us then are asking you, where are we at? Where are we, you know, I mean, are we coming to you and asking, or, I don't know, I just.
We do, to Board President's comment, you know, we do our run rates on a monthly basis at Finance, you know, and that gives us a sense of where we are, you know, in the year. And we're watching, as I said, you know, the money come in and out, making sure that we're checking all the boxes, that all the programs have been paid for and things like that. So there's always projections out there as to what is going on. So to that point, yes, I mean, we're doing the work anyways. They are projections, right? And we know that student counts matter, and we know that day to day those change in different times. So if I think that in December we're going to lose 20 kids and we lose 40 kids, my projection that I made is not going to be right at the end of the year, right? And so that's where I just, as you know, use that word projection in there, because that's the struggle that you go through, is making sure, you know, you always go out, you try to go on the low side, and you try to make sure that you're covering everything, you know, especially as we're building the fund balance. That's, you know, a really big deal, and losing less kids, it's easier to do, but, you know, that's, you know, to the point where you're always monitoring it, to the point there are a lot of things going on a daily basis that change those numbers. But the projections are the projections, and that's what we're saying, is that throughout the year, we're going based on a projection. At the end of the year, we could show that we were above 6% and we took away the stipend. And that's okay, because that would be the sense of what it would be. But that's the reason, I'm hoping I'm answering your question, but that's the genuine reason why I added the word projected, because I could, you know, we as a department would take away the stipend, yet at the end of the year, we could be above the 6% here and above the 6% in the audit.
Well,
And that's my genuine,
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just also believe that you are the professional, our superintendent is the professional, and I just feel like we need to listen to the professionals who do this work every day, and listen to what they're
in the committee. We did talk about, you know, the placement a little, about, you know, there's also another section about school board members, right? And we talked about the fact that it is about finances, but it's also about student achievement. It's also about the overall operations, right? Customer satisfaction, enrollment, all of that. And so is there a different place besides in the actual fund balance policy that we get to the heart of what we're talking about to say accountability? So it came up as a topic. Again, that's up to you as a board, but the question is this section here in the fund balance policy, or is it somewhere else more encompassing of a full board duty list?
Yeah.
That's a good point, yeah.
Member Corcoran?
Well, I was just gonna say, we take our oath of office, don't we? We all take an oath of office to do our best, to manage and do our jobs to the best of our ability, which I believe we do, and I think we're very cognizant of where we're trying to be. So that could be in somewhere in our roles in that policy of what our duties are. I mean, I don't know. I feel like that's a better place than this. I just feel like this doesn't belong here.
Member Tyson?
Yeah, I think that's a very good point, that I feel like it would belong somewhere in the 100s better. But in my mind, I just keep going back to, you know, the task of manually having to change it. And, you know, this isn't a livable wage for anybody, it's a stipend. And we've always had the lowest stipend pretty much in the Northeast Metro. So for somebody to have to manually change this and go back and forth, and then we're paying them to do that, it's like the money change would just be a wash. It would just be adding more work and more dollars in hourly pay for somebody to manually go in when this ebbs and flows to be changing this. And it doesn't seem like a valuable idea in terms of that.
I do have a question to that point. Is the fund balance that dynamic that it would be a daily struggle?
And I said, we would do the monthly. No, it's not daily. It is not a daily, it's not a daily task, but it is, as I said, it's monthly based on the projections, and that's, again, for my thing, it's more about making sure that, again, the projection as we go, knowing
Correct.
where we are with students, and again, somehow if at the end of the time, we're gonna be right on the cusp of that number, right? Like, genuinely. And so at the end of the time, if we end up making it or not making it by a 0.01%, and I didn't take away the stipend because of that, right? Because my projections were off by that $200,000, which could be, that I just am making sure that I want to follow your policies that you set for us, because that's the most important thing that I do in my job.
Yeah, and to be clear, that's why I was so excited to see the modifications that you made. I think that's really good, because it gives you the cover you need to adequately do your job, while it still ties the accountability into the board that Member Castle was speaking to. I think that's really good. Yeah.
So point of inquiry, are we voting tonight? Are we
Well,
done discussing what is the
Yeah, I was
next
actually
step?
I was just gonna pull the board back together and say we do have an amendment on the table that we're discussing, and all the discussion here has been related to the amendment, and that is whether or not we should strike section 10 of the policy, which is remediation, and all the text below it. That amendment was offered by Member Corcoran and seconded by Member Tyson. Do we have any other discussion on the amendment that was proposed to strike that text? Member Atkinson?
So I believe it was Member Tyson's amendment, right?
It was Member Corcoran's amendment,
Corcoran's.
and Member Tyson seconded it.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Thank you. So then Member Corcoran, and you're talking about this should be in somewhere else.
Possibly, yes.
Well, then what are the parameters around this
I don't.
in somewhere else?
I don't
Because
know.
I move to amend the amendment and just not vote on any of this tonight and.
That motion would not be in order. Instead, we would just vote the amendment down.
Move to vote?
Okay, I don't really see any objection to calling the question here.
Calling the
so,
question?
Yeah, why don't we just go ahead and do that unless there's
Okay.
an objection?
Just one second, just
Member
clarify.
Christensen?
To Member Antonsen's point, I would agree with Member Antonsen that we should discuss this at a later time. So then we're
So I
voting, so then if we vote the amendment down,
Correct.
then the amendment goes away.
And it's just
And then we can
stay this
table the
way.
motion, is that what we're,
So if
that's what?
So there's a couple of points here I'll make. So the amendment was to strike the entire section 10 remediation. We could, let's say we approve that tonight. We decide, hey, we're going to strike that. It doesn't sound like we're ready to move on the policy itself. So that will come back next month. And next month, we could put it back through an amendment. Or we could vote the amendment down tonight and say, no, this was a good discussion, but we're not ready to strike it yet. And we could bring it back up. You could be argued that we'd be representing settled business, but with the discussion that happened tonight, I feel like they wouldn't be bringing back settled business. It would be opening that discussion back up. The other thing that we could do is we could have a motion to postpone the final action on the amendment until the 18th, and we could pick this up on the 18th right here where we sit at this moment. So we have a number of options that we can move forward under. Does that answer your question? Okay.
I move to postpone the amendment.
Second.
Okay, so just for clarity,
But do we have to
To
vote
vote on
down?
my amendment first?
no, a motion to postpone would do that, but just for clarity, Member Tyson, I want to go back to your motion here. Your motion would be to postpone the amendment until June 18th meeting.
Is that when it's due back on the agenda?
That's when we would put it back on,
Our
yes.
next meeting.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. So is there any discussion on postponing action on the amendment? Member Castle?
Okay, so during the postponement, as people look at other policies, to determine where, if we were to move this language to another policy, please do so.
Well, I will-
I'll look at policies that.
Yeah, that's an excellent.
It might be able to go into, and then perhaps we would bring that up at the following meeting.
Yeah, we could do that. Yeah, we could absolutely do that. We could propose that policy, say we want to put it in policy, I don't know, 1, 2, 3. I know we don't have a policy 1, 2, 3, but we want to put it in policy 1, 2, 3. We could have that proposed language in front of us, and we could discuss that.
Well, I'd like to say, I mean, I know how important this policy is to member Chrissy, and I know it's important to our audit firm. So I would love to support this without this language in it. So, because I do feel it's really important for our school district to have a safe fund balance. And I'm not saying that I don't believe in that, I just don't believe it belongs here. And, yeah, so maybe we can look at other options for that.
Well, and to that point, I will support the motion to postpone, because I think it's apparent that we need to have some more thought into this, a little bit more time to think about it, maybe some time to discuss internally. Member Atkinson?
I just have one more question for Member Corcoran.
Mhm.
So you're not, because earlier you said you find this very offensive, so you're not going to find this offensive somewhere else?
Well, I don't want the exact wording. I would like to maybe revise that wording a little to maybe have some accountability, but I think the way it's written, I don't like it. So that doesn't mean I don't agree with some fashion of that, added in a maybe different verbiage. But like I said, this fund balance policy is really important to our district. So I do,
realize that.
especially being an accountant, I mean, I get it. It's important. So I do want to be able to support it. It's just not the way it's written.
All right, any other discussion on the motion to postpone? All right, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, the motion to postpone carries, so we will see this again next month, which will bring us to the final item on our agenda, adopt a resolution establishing dates for filing affidavits of candidacy. Dr. Massey.
So this item might appear a bit confusing, thinking, didn't we just take action on this at the last meeting? At the last meeting, you set the election, called for the election. This particular resolution will set the filing dates for the election. This is all statutory requirements. So this is a requirement in statute that the board take these two separate actions, one calling for the election, which was at the last meeting. This particular resolution will set the filing dates for candidates to file for the election, those being July 14th through July 28th. So with that, administration would recommend your approval of this resolution.
Move to approve 9-7.
Second.
All right, and just for clarity, these dates are set by the state, is that correct?
That is correct.
All right, yeah, so we don't really have a whole lot of wiggle
Nope,
room here.
no, this
so-
is routine.
Is there any discussion on this? All right,
Okay,
seeing
so
none. Member Castle?
with the state's statute, I should have read it myself, but does it allow for making it wider or making it narrow?
Nope,
Nothing.
Nope,
Just
in
doesn't-
fact, it
doesn't allow
sets
anything.
the withdraw date. If somebody files within that 2-week period and somebody who files wishes to withdraw, that witdraw date is set at 5 PM, 2 days following the
So,
closure
and
of the
I remember
filing.
reading that
Yep.
when I was filing myself.
Yep, yep,
So-
those are all set by the state.
So then, I'm guessing, what is the point of us even bothering with this?
Well, it's board action that acknowledges, I guess, what's in statute, but it also then allows us to get things in motion, getting things posted on our website, making it known to the public. I suppose we could do that just on statute, but
Yeah.
it's a formality.
So perhaps we could, the next time, make a motion to just follow the statute and have the staff do it, and we don't have.
If only it were that simple. Okay, if there's no additional discussion on this, I'll ask the clerk to take the roll call, please.
Okay, Member Christensen.
Aye.
Member Tyson.
Aye.
Member Antonsen votes aye. Member Rebbeline.
Aye.
Member Castle.
Aye.
And Member Corcoran.
Aye.
And the ayes have it.
All right, I see no new business in reviewing calendar dates. Lots of stuff going on next week, so please refer to the district calendar. I'm not going to even attempt to itemize that all out. Next school board meeting is on June 18th. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, we are adjourned.